Did you know that some of the most deep experiences you have with God occur from a calm movement within your own mind, rather than from thunder, visions, or miraculous signs? However, a lot of people ignore this holy route because they think God's voice will sound dramatic, external, or clearly supernatural. However, what if the voice you've been waiting for, because I've already been calling you, nudging you, arousing you, and whispering within your head, and you weren't even aware that it was Him? Every believer experiences an overpowering period of silence at some point in their path. Nothing appears to change despite your prayers. All you hear when you ask God for guidance is the clamor of your own anxieties. You're long awaiting confirmation, but you're left feeling unsure instead. And in that unseen struggle between your fears and your hopes, God frequently selects the most delicate yet profound means to communicate through your inner thoughts. 1. Consider all the times you've had an unexpected sensation of calm, the sudden need to forgive someone, the soft realization that enabled you to leave a dangerous situation, the thought that came to you just when you needed it, the conviction that made you stop, the want to contact a buddy without understanding why, the sudden change in your viewpoint. These were not coincidental. They weren't sporadic flashes of thought. They weren't an attempt by your imagination to be spiritual. They were celestial whispers, subtle enough to go unnoticed, but potent enough to completely alter your life's course. In actuality, you are unaware of how frequently God has been incorporating His words into your thinking. In ways you haven't noticed, He has been close to you. You will also see how profoundly He has been communicating to you. Before this message concludes, all along, you're within yourself. You would never again believe that silence equates to absence if you had a true understanding of how frequently God works in your inner world. The mind is more than a battleground. It is a sanctuary, a space that God created for communion, as well as for thinking, dreaming, and processing. Nevertheless, many believers disregard what God is truly attempting to disclose because His voice melds so well with the cadence of your thinking. If it were God, I would know, they presume. I would sense something supernatural and experience something unusual. However, God's wisdom frequently conceals the supernatural in the mundane, way that it may only be recognized by the yearning heart. Consider how Jesus used parables to elicit deeper attention rather than to confound. In a similar vein, God conceals deep guidance under seemingly straightforward ideas. When He forces clarity into your comprehension, He hides spiritual knowledge behind what seems like plain sense. He envelops a warning in what appears to be intuition. God intentionally accomplishes this so that you will remain near enough to Him to see the difference. And this is the revelation that is currently taking place in your spirit. God wants you to learn how to clearly hear His voice in your head so that you don't confuse divine instruction with haphazard thinking. When you learn to feel His presence on the inside as well as the outside, a whole new level of closeness opens up. You become more steady, self-assured, in sync with His beat, less rattled by uncertainty, and more grounded in discernment. This is what God desires in your mind. Help shed light on pathways you've been having trouble seeing. However, you must slow down and listen differently on this voyage. You're hearing more than simply ideas. Whispers formed by eternity are being heard. You're not alone if you've recently felt disengaged, spiritually numb, or unable to hear God's voice. Many Christians have times when God appears to be quiet. In actuality, though, He is communicating through impressions, nudges, clarity, and instant insight beneath the cacophony. If you're in one of these times, you might want to explore the devotional When God is Silent, which can be found in the pinned comment in order to go deeper into this trip. It was made for those with spiritual feelings, arid, detached, or ignorant of how to identify God's internal motions. It can assist you in reawakening your awareness of His presence, particularly in situations where the surroundings seem overpowering and noisy. Take a moment to prepare your heart before we begin the story that will make this insight come to life, because once you comprehend how